7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I can spare to play with you.
Come on!
Roger!
Thanks.
Come on! Come on!
Resident Evil 5.
Resident Evil 5, a game developed by Capcom in 2009. The game was developed after Resident Evil 4, which was a departure from the OG trilogy, survival horror and fixed camera angles. It turned a new leaf of action horror with third-person styled camera controls. Resident Evil 4 was a great game in its own right, but RE4 was a little edgy and very much cheesy, but it was in a good way. RE5 took a lot of the cheesiness out of the game. The game draws from the piss filter era and military shooters of the time. The game does take itself seriously, but it loops around again and becomes cheesy. This game follows Chris Redfield this time, who we have seen in previous RE games. He has a new partner this time named Sheva Almar. She's pretty awesome. The game starts with the mysterious plague doctor girl giving a man a strange virus. Then we see our goat Chris driving up in this jeep to the African village. He beats Sheva. We find out Jill is dead apparently. Kirk then tells us about the area we are at. We gear up. Chris learns of the Ouroboros project.
Mostly just rumors. Something about visions of a doomsday project.
It's corrupting all the people in this town. The man leaves the room and then we venture out. The two see a man get infected by two others, and his eyes start to pop out like MKX. Chris and Chev aren't too fazed by this and handle the enemy pretty well. To note, this is the tutorial of this game basically. The shooting in this game is annoying at times, because you can't even move when you shoot, so that kind of makes it be really stale. Something I like is you can punch the enemies multiple times, and it is very helpful in the beginning, because the weapons do pitiful damage. The herbs are also a healing item, which are in like every other Resident Evil game, and they are useful, but there's nothing really too much about these. Anyway, shortly after all this, we see a crowd of chanting civilians, and the guy we saw earlier and spoke to, he's getting executed. So this really big, awesome looking guy, he has this giant axe, pulls up out of absolutely nowhere, and just slaughters the poor dude and cuts his head off. It's kind of the big sad moment of this chapter, but, you know, oh no! Anyways, we have a world to save. We find more grunts, because they have an infinite amount of disposable bad guys here, and some funny moments happened here, so I'm gonna put them up here. Ow! Ow! Run from him.
That was kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie.
Come on! Come on!
Kirk comes in and slimes out the remaining grunts. Shortly after this, you do find a random girl who has absolutely no damn business being here. But anyway, she screams for help and she gets dragged into this room by someone. You have to go after her. You find her eventually.
Hey, what's
Turns
wrong?
out, oh shit! She's infected. You let go of her, and here comes my least favorite enemies in this game. Not because they're tricky or anything. They waste lots of bullets and they eat up your time, and it makes the game a bit long at times. You fight the weird tentacle girl, and she gets killed. After a long wave of grunts come to attack, a boss fight happens, and it's some big monster, so for a solid 10 minutes you play a merry-go-round with Hedora Timu Edition from Godzilla.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
Once you lock it in the incinerator and you burn enough times, you beat the boss and you can actually leave the facility finally.
Come on!
You see Kirk's helicopter start to go down because even though we're in a Resident Evil game, they're not bat-proof and they get destroyed. We meet this new kind of enemy. It's this guy with a chainsaw. He was in Resident Evil 4 before this, so I've seen him before. So after we dance with this goober, you shock him with this box after, and you kind of have to shoot it and it falls down on his head. And if you shoot him enough times after that, you get the keys when he dies. A little bit after this, you find Kirk's helicopter crashed. He died.
I'm sorry.
Is he a recurring character in the series?
No.
So then we hear the sound. It's these crazy mahogany citizens. They come around with these chains like Ghost Rider while riding a motorcycle. They grab Chris and drag him around like a block. Sheva has prime bullseye aim though, so it's low-key chill, and Chris is saved. Then the BSAA come to help, and we meet Sheva's old pal. Then after climbing a hill, you find Irving, and the Plague Doctor girl busts in and grabs Irving, and they escape. Finally, we then get to the turret section. All you do is shoot cars and some enemies on the cars. You know, it's like some Raw Thrills arcade game, you know. Once you get done with that, there's this bridge, and we tip the driver enough so you jump to the other side pretty smoothly. The motorcycle guys, they fall down. Once we take a stop into the next segment, our driver gets out of the car, and there's this hobbit troll, and he just absolutely squashes him like a tomato. And then you fight him, because he's the next boss in this game. And it's another turret section, so you shoot these tentacles that come out of his skin, and you repeat that until he gets torn apart and takes a little nap. Then Chris explains to Sheva that he needs to go find Jill, but since this is a co-op game, Sheva doesn't leave, and says how they're partners till the end, and they start the hunt. Chapter 3 starts with Chris and Sheva on a boat in the swamps. She asks Chris what happened. We get to a little flashback here of the Lost in Nightmares DLC. I'll show you that here and how that happened.
Jill and I were pursuing a man named Albert Wesker.
Whoa, Resident Evil 1.
Wesker. He was a top official with Umbrella and the leader of our STARS unit. I met him again after the Raccoon City incident on Rockford Island. Since then, we've been trying to track him down. Then a few years ago,
Jill
we got a
looks
tip from a
similar.
reliable source.
Barely.
The whereabouts of Umbrella's founder, Oswell E. Spencer. So we paid him a visit, hoping he'd lead us to
This is
Wesker.
too.
Hello there.
Wesker!
Let's finish this.
No!
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
Jill's body was never found and she was presumed dead. The person I saw in that data looked like her. I have to know if she's still alive.
You two were close.
We were partners.
After that, they have to go find pieces of a puzzle, and they collect the pieces. You fight these tribal variants of the enemies. Then Josh drives you around the marshlands till you stop the boat. You open some doors, you kill the troops. That's really all for this. Until you find Irving, and you have to infiltrate his boat, basically. You interrogate him, and then he takes the Ouroboros virus. Shortly after this, you have another section, and you shoot him. You have to shoot him in the middle where he dangles. You also have to shoot his tentacles, so then he lets go of the boat and you can get a good shot on him. Once you have all that done, that's really all for that. And you weaken him a lot. Irving then ends up going like, "Oh my god, you're really Chris Redfield?" He foreshadows some of the stuff that's going to happen with Ouroboros. He mentions a facility and this girl named Excella. He trash talks the BSAA, and then he dies. Once you get to chapter 4, you end up going down this ancient ruined temple. There's a lot of puzzles. Like there's this little scale puzzle and there's these heads. You have to sort those. You pull them down. And lasers. Oh god, lasers. There are some flaming balls that end up rolling around this like floor, and you have to dodge them, and there's an anchor you have to turn because you need to open that door so you can go deeper into the ruins. Eventually, after you do that and the scale puzzle are done, you find this giant bat monster. If you shoot it in the back, it gets the job done. The game becomes nicer to you here because you end up getting these explosives. They take them out quick and easy, so it's really no hard job. Then once you go into the door, you see Excella being Wesker's meat rider. They discuss Las Plagas from Resident Evil 4. Wesker also kills a random old guy for no reason. Then the treacherous laser puzzle happens. I'm not explaining this, I'm just gonna okay, I know. Okay, we get it. There's a door and it closes and opens. Wow. Careful. Whoa. Okay.
Okay, flip it off real quick.
What the? No. That was not smart of me. You burnt yourself. This is like what the ants feel like when I use like a kid back in the day, you know? How, like,
Actually, wait. Raptor.
you know how like back in the day when a kid like had a microscope and like
You forgot to claim the one chest, bro.
not a microscope, a magnifying glass, you put it up to an ant or something and it just burns alive. Like that's like what this mission is. Why did you use that? Bruh.
What the fuck?
Behind something.
Raptor, man.
Yeah.
Laser. Move it. You move this one the other way.
Okay.
Not that way! Oh,
Oh. Yeah, that was not the brightest moment. Once Chapter 5 begins, you get down further in the ruins, you discover tri-cells here, and then you get down there into the facility and there's these lickers. Classic old lickers. They come to say hello, and they attempt to slime you out, but you have experience so you're fine.
I don't think they'll notice us.
and then it is.
Then you go down to find Jill, and it seems to be some kind of Lego movie at a think tank. And some random dude falls out of his pod, and he falls endlessly. You start up the elevator to go find Jill. It ends up being stopped because this game needs to be dragged on for long enough. This crab-like thing ends up coming down, and you shoot at it. You have to shoot at its mouth, and you also shoot at its legs. You repeat this cycle for around maybe 5 minutes. It's a pretty cool character. He looks awesome. I like this fight. You shoot at it until it ends up falling down the hole too. Then the damn cover shooting happens here. I'm giving the mic to Tahu for this one.
So the cover system in Resident Evil 5 is awful. So you walk up to a point, click F, and then you proceed to stick to that wall. There is no moving around. Unlike in other games such as Gears of War, the player sticks to the object and is able to move around freely on cover. Not when shooting, because like in Resident Evil 5, you cannot shoot and move at the same time. I would expect if you take cover, you can move around, but in this game, you cannot, which ruins the pace of fighting.
Then after that catastrophe happens, another guy appears, and it turns from a fear character to another Hedorah from Godzilla. This time it's stronger, but you're now also TF2 Pyro, and you have incendiary grenades. To also mention, Jill isn't in the pod, so you have to go back up, you fight a few snipers, you get to fight more lickers also, but you know, you have explosive rounds, so they're easy as hell. You shoot them so then you can protect Sheva, and you get that puzzle done. It's easy. The big part of the game starts here. You see Excella finally. Then you ask where Jill is. The plague doctor girl busts out of nowhere, does some Matrix bullshit. You shoot her mask off. Wesker comes out and he's dripped the hell out. And he says this banger line.
Well, isn't this one big family reunion? I would expect you to be happier to see us. Us? So slow to catch on.
Oh my god. I predicted this like from the first chapter.
Jill. Jill, it's me, Chris.
What? Are you sure that's her?
The one and only.
Yeah, I predicted Jill being this from the start.
Now, let's finish this once and for all. I think the odds are fair. 2 on 2. Right, Jill.
Seven minutes. 7 minutes is all I can spare to play with you.
That is such a thing to say. Oh my god! Oh my god, I can't feel my legs!
This fight's 2 on 2. Basically, Wesker has these Matrix powers, so he dodges most of your bullets. Also, if you kill Jill, it restarts, so don't be a moron when doing this.
Oh.
Hi, Jill. Okay, Wesker is pissed.
Confident.
There's no point in hiding.
I countered him.
Hit Jill on accident.
Dude, I can counter.
You're merely post.
Why 7 minutes aren't up to you yet? Sock you in the time.
Come on! Come on!
Raptor, pull it.
Roger.
Go.
You just accept your fate. There's no point in hiding.
Playtime's over. How fortunate for you.
Whoa! After your first duel with Wesker, Jill's brainwashing ends up wearing off, and Wesker tones the hypnosis up a bit, so she continues to fight. Wesker ends up teasing Chris about Jill and leaves with his new waifu, Excella. In Jill's fight, you have to get close. If you can corner her, it works best, from my experience. Chris then ends up playing Marco Polo with Jill and doesn't find her. In all seriousness, though, you try to get her to snap out of it. If you get close to Jill, because you need to remove the device from her chest so Wesker doesn't control her anymore. Here's how I did it. Oh! That actually worked really well. Get her again. That kills her?
That's that killer.
Why?
If you're literally. I shot her instead.
Ow. No!
Stop this! Jill, answer me!
Shoot her.
What? You got kicked off.
It's me, Chris! Don't you
Because we're
recognize
too close
me?
to the fucking
Come on,
wall.
snap out of it!
I just jumped down.
What? She jumped down too.
Just get her back up here.
I restrained her after,
Okay.
man.
Spam that. I got it!
Oh, got it.
We saved her. Yay.
Jill. Jill. Are you alright?
Once you do that, you save your good pal Jill. Chris and Jill speak of the matters. Sheva's standing behind all this, and she's like, what the hell's going on here? Then you leave the facility, and I guess you just leave her down there all alone, which doesn't really make sense to me. But, you know, it's for the plot, I guess, so it's Jill. Chapter 6. You board the tanker seen at the end of Chapter 5. It's carrying the Ouroboros virus, and Excel is on the move, so you have to get on that ship and go after her. There's this segment where there are these crates you have to move to get further in the tanker. You find Excel and she has 2 briefcases, and instead of shooting her, you end up shooting the briefcases for some odd reason, and she ends up getting away. You end up encountering these 2 heavy dudes. If you waste your bullets and sanity on them, you defeat them. After this, Wesker ends up injecting Excella with Ouroboros. It ends up rejecting her. It also rejects her credit card. Then she turns into some weird amalgamation of something. You spend the next part of the game playing hide and seek with this thing. She has some tendrils in some of the rooms and stuff, so you can't go through those rooms. Once you get to the top of the tanker, you fight her, and she has these balls on her, and you have to shoot them. The goal is to basically attack the balls until they bust open. You achieve this by airstriking the hell out of it, and then it busts open and dies. Jill then shouts out Metal Gear and is on a green filtered screen and tells Chris to go find the good stuff. Basically a counter virus. For the rest of the game, you end up going after Wesker. So for this part, you go down into the tanker, there's these doors. That's what that is.
We turn around, see a bug hit us.
Damn you, cockroach! You have to shoot the enemies and pick up key cards and get further in until you find Wesker. This next part of the game is pretty cool because you end up seeing Wesker. Finally, this is the second boss fight actually with him. So basically, the goal of it, you have to like make him not be able to see things. Then you basically just like run around with this rocket launcher. You shoot him, he catches the rocket. You shoot the rocket, and it blows him up in the face. Basically, you need to stop his giant jet from like the first of Captain America movie kind of like thing. You do this, and then once you get onto the jet, you catch Wesker.
Sheva! Come on! Come on, grab on!
It's like the Captain America plane. After you board the Captain America jet, you basically, like, he does some kung fu for a minute, and then you open the door and the jet starts to crash because Wesker, in like any other project, he doesn't know how to pilot a plane. So he just leaves it on autopilot, but we don't have autopilot in here. So Wesker just lets the plane crash. You open the door, Wesker gets dragged down, he grabs Chev on the leg, and then you get Vietnam flashbacks.
No. Vietnam flashback.
No. You really wanted Albert to survive, is why. Sheva shoots Wesker and is like, "To hell with you," or something like that. And then Wesker just falls down. You crashed in this giant volcano, and it's a rocky landing, but you end up surviving. So now you're on Mustafar. Once after the plane crash happens, you get out of the plane, you break open these boxes, and then a scary shirtless man appears. Oh wait, never mind, it's Wesker again. And he survived the crash too. and he gets more powerful through a burst. He gets these whips, basically. He uses scraps from the plane, and basically that's his weapon, and it's its whole thing. And we got flung off like 20 times before we even figured out what to do. So in the final boss fight after you loot up in Resident Evil 5, you have to fight Wesker one final time in the series. So you shoot at his exposed chest after he starts whipping you, you kind of go around, you kick the boulder down, you punch that enough times, then Sheva can cross, and you guys get to the platform. You guys fight Wesker for a repeated amount of times. Again, shoot the exposed area. Once he's done his tentacle tornado, you go behind him as Chris, and you can grab him, and then you can, hold him, and then Sheva will start knifing or shooting him. And that's basic. You need to have, full health for this, because if you don't, it's going to be a problem. You need lots of bullets, too. So then after you repeat that cycle enough, this all happened. Also, I have some gameplay for this, so I'm going to put that in there, too. But, Alright, Wesker. The goat Jill's coming back. Chris! That was close. Wait, what if Wesker grabs on him?
I've already seen this cutscene barely, so.
Oh, hell.
Hang on!
Chris, Sheva! Use those!
Bro.
Ready, partner?
Locked and loaded.
Suck on this, Wesker.
Your time's up, you son of a bitch.
Oh. Damn.
That was for our fallen brothers.
I sure hope we never see him again.
It's over.
Yes. Finally.
More and more, I find myself wondering if it's all worth fighting for. For a future without fear? Yeah, it's worth it.
The end.